Welcome back to the World Men's Curling Championship 2016. We'll be bringing you some live coverage from the St. Jakobshalle here in Basel, Switzerland. City that connects Switzerland, Germany and France in the north. And teams will have a chance to stroll through the old town that features many buildings from the 15th century when they're not playing. We've had 5 draws so far, 12 remaining, starting with this morning's set of games. Well, it's been a joyous event so far. Already just a few days in, and we're quite lucky to have another week of the same high-level curling. For this morning's session, we'll have Germany take on Norway on sheet A. Thomas Ilsrud looking for a second title, and in 3 years, Germany perhaps eyeing up some Olympic qualification points for now, but struggling for the time being. My name is Sander Elvåg, and I'm joined by the master of the play-by-play, Logan Gray.
Good morning, Sander. That's very kind.
Just taking a look around the St. Jakobshalle. Seems like we might have a few school classes in for this Monday morning draw.
Japan and Scotland.
As the arena announcer just announcing all the matchups. Of course, 4 games going on in the arena today, and we'll keep you up to tabs with the lot. When they're just about to get underway here, as you see the teams shake hands and wish each other good curling. Team lineup for Germany. At lead we have Sebastian Schweizer. At second it's Mark Muskatowicz. Throwing third stones for Germany as Manuel Walter. And the team is skipped by Alexander Baumann, Daniel Rothballer alternate, and Thomas Lips the coach.
And a well-known Norwegian lineup led by Ovard Vad Pettersson. Second player, Christopher Sva. Third player, Torgeir Nørgaard. And the skip, Thomas Ilsrud. Alternate, Marcus Højberg. And of course, 2002 Olympic champion, Paul Troelsen, the coach.
Just having a look at the standings and to see how the teams stack up so far. It's Canada and Sweden undefeated at 3-0. Denmark, Japan, Norway, Russia all at 2 wins, 1 loss alongside Scotland. Switzerland and USA at 1 win, with Finland, Germany and Korea winless so far. But many, many games to go, and everything can change. And these are the other games out there today. It's Switzerland facing off against Korea. We have Sweden and Russia on sheet C, and on sheet Delta, it's Japan, Scotland. Alexander Baumann having a shaky start to his first World Men's Championship. And now facing off against one of the more experienced teams. Got a bit of disco this morning to get the teams going.
It's never too early for a bit of disco, Sander.
Well, what can we expect from this matchup, Logan?
Well, I think you said yourself, Sander, the experience definitely lies with the Norwegian team. They have over 40 World Championship appearances between them, and the likes of Christopher Sva has only not made the playoffs once in something like 11 outings. So they've got an incredible record at the World Men's. And Thomas Ilsrud, one of the oldest players in the competition, obviously one of the most experienced. And of course, they finally got their World Championship just a couple of years ago in Beijing. Do you think, Sander, that maybe winning that World Championship just off the back of the Olympics with a slightly weaker field than usual. Is that a bit of a bugbear for these Norwegian guys? Would they like to win one with all the top teams representing their countries?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they would admit to that, but perhaps we did see a few experimental teams come out for that World Championship. We saw Oscar Eriksson for Sweden. Just after Nicholas Edin had won the Worlds, he was looking to defend his title, was not able to do so. But that Swedish team of Oscar Eriksson obviously made the final, just lost out to Norway. Well, we saw a lot of great teams. But if you're asking if they want to win another one, I think the question is yes, or the answer is yes, rather. With Sweden winning last year, I'm sure they want to bring the title back to Norway.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a rivalry between the Norwegian guys and the Swedish guys. Great friends off the ice as well.
So Scandinavia just dominating the World Men's Championship in the last 3 years. 2 of the titles going to Sweden, and of course that one 2 years ago for Norway. As we see lead Håvard Wald Pettersson throw a delicate little run back here early on, and we'll stick it. That draw from Germany, it's just so high in the rings. Seemed like an easier shot to make the run back for Team Norway. As we'll also have a look at Sebastian Schweizer from Villingen, Germany. Actually, Schweizer's second appearance at the World Men's Championship, having thrown lead rocks for Andy Lang back all the way back in 2003, when the Worlds were hosted by Winnipeg, Canada. Only picking up 1 win on that occasion. Hopefully wanting to improve that this week, as it's not just about the medals, it's about qualifying for the Olympics. 2 last World Championships before Pyeongchang, giving the teams Olympic points. So this one and next year will determine who goes to Korea. Kristoffer Svah, second player for Norway, will look for a little hit. There's a bit of miscommunication there.
Well, I think we've covered this end sheet a couple of times so far this weekend. I think it has been quite tricky. Certainly a little bit straighter on one side and more curl on the other. And we did see the Canadian teams throwing the yellow stones yesterday and having all sorts of problems with one of the lead stones. Seems to be quite significantly slower than its counterpart.
We'll just have another look at the rules of play for the round robin. There is a 6 ends minimum to be played. Both teams will have 38 minutes of thinking time. And both teams will also have 1 timeout where they can refer with their coach or alternate players. And of course the free guard zone, the 4-ruck rule, very much in play. Norway had the chance to peel the corner guard there, but electing to throw a centre guard. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a statement of intent, trying to generate some play. I think they know that playing an aggressive game with lots of stones in play is only going to play into their hands. I think we would have seen a lot of teams throwing the peel on the corner guard there.
Well, maybe also, having had a look at Germany's results so far, maybe wanting to put some pressure on them early.
Well, absolutely. You don't want to give them any time just to kind of bed in and get their confidence up. If you can get them down early after losing their first 3 games, then it certainly would seem like a good strategy. Here's Torgeir Nørgaard, 4-time Olympian for Norway. just recently married as well.
He married in Las Vegas. Not a bad way to do it. It's right after the Continental Cup. As he makes a nice little hit and stick in behind that guard, partially anyway. And third player for Germany, Manuel Walter, will be looking to come after it. He even gets a little nudge in behind the guard there. It's a very nice shot. How important is it for players to make a few shots early on in the game?
Well, for the Germans, I think it's especially important. They have had quite a few struggles in the first 3 games, and I did speak briefly to Alex Baumann before the game started, and he said that they actually had quite a good game yesterday against Sweden, but just were on the wrong side of the result. So maybe they are starting to build a little bit of confidence and play a little bit better, but they definitely want to keep building each game as it comes. So absolutely, if they can make a few shots early on, that's certainly not going to hurt them.
Well, this one catching some curl early on, and will rub on the guard, not being able to spin the shooter into the rings, I believe.
Yeah, that definitely would have helped their cause if they'd managed to just squeeze the shooter in. So Nor would get the miss that they were hoping to force by throwing the center guard. Just a reminder, it is Germany who do have the last stone here in the first end.
Ok, spol her, altså. Jeg liker ikke å gå med den isen. Nei, vi har kjørt omtrent dit på din. Litt mer! Mye mer. Hvor er Håvard, da? Håvard kjørt omtrent dit. Litt på 12.
Just discussing the ice here in the hack. Tiny bit of a disagreement on where to place the broom. And they will throw the tight center guard. I believe this one's going to slip way too deep.
Well, it looks like they did put the brush in the right place. They got the line right, but they just didn't get the distance right.
A bit of a let-off for Alexander Baumann. I was wanting to see what he would do if that guard came into play. If he had the confidence to maybe make the draw around everything to try and set up for 2 or opt for the defensive shot, but I was pretty much forced to play this double.
Well, easy to make the double take out in these 2 yellows. The trick is going to be keeping the red stone, the shooter stone, in the rings, and they might be able to use that wide red stone to keep the shooter in play here. So here is Alex Baumann, the soldier from Germany. Manages to keep the shooter, but doesn't manage to get that yellow stone out the side door. So we just had a little bit of foul play on the stationary stones, but if you just watch Sebastian Schweitzer here, just as he steps out, just bumps into that red stone. That'll just be replaced. No harm, no foul. Did well to keep his feet, really. Now the players having a little chuckle at that one as they see it on the overhead jumbotron.
So is this a chance for Norway to make a little hit and flop to sit 2 and force Germany to score?
I think so. It's hard to say whether the nose of the stone is just out the front of the rings, but I don't think Norway will take any chances here. They'll try and make a little roll to get in there, lie 2, and force Germany to draw for 1.
And there we go. That stone will nestle in top 12, allowing quite some room to score for Alexander Baumann, however. Should definitely be close to making this draw. Just needs about full 12 foot, really. Did see him struggle a little bit with draw weight in our previous games on the broadcast at Future Germany. They're having a bit of a discussion, most likely about the weight.
Well, I don't know if we've seen any draws down this left-hand side of the sheet, so maybe just relying on their knowledge from practice here. But it's definitely an important shot to make.
You'll see the stopwatch up on the screen. That's the hog-to-hog stopwatch. 12-8 sounds a bit pacey, but being the first end might just be a tad slower, as this one will find the forfeit. Very nice draw by Alexander Baumann early on to score his single. And after one end of play, it is Germany leading 1-0. Else we'll be back shortly with more curling action. So we're back in action here on sheet 8. It's the second end of our matchup between Germany and Norway. Just moments ago we saw Alexander Baumann having to draw for his single, not being able to take full advantage of the last stone in that end. And I believe Norway is going to try to do so, put up the corner guard here with lead Håvard Pettersson.
Bytte å gå hard, Torgeir. Hard. Bare dra den. Kom igjen. Fortsett. Alt du har. Hardere. Litt til.
So you saw there Torger Nørgaard running around the stone, the sweep from the other side. You only generally see one sweeper these days. When just recently there's been some kind of revelations really about sweeping, and that pretty much we've all been doing it wrong forever. So yeah, slightly new techniques, and realizing that the players can actually kind of scratch channels into the ice to make the stone follow. So if they want to make it curl, they'll kind of sweep with the curl like they are just now. And if they want to make it straight, then the person on the other side will sweep against the curl to try and straighten it out a little bit. Does take a little bit of getting used to, though. Doesn't manage to make the double on that occasion, but does keep the shooter around on the wing. So that really forced Germany to play the takeout, and that does open up the corner guard for Norway to start playing around, trying to generate a multiple score here in the second end.
Yep. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah. Yeah. Whoa. 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 Yeah. Whoa, corner. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa, whoa. Skott nog in.
So nice hit and roll there by Mark Muskatowicz. Norway are going to attempt a double takeout. So Bud Pedersen sweeping to try and keep the stone straight, makes the double.
Just hearing Norwegian skipper making a note of the liveliness of the stones in the house. It's a bit dull. The stones seems to be stopping a little bit on the rolls. Seeing how that second stone just barely made it out of the house. A bit of frost on the ice. So warm, so humid. The weather here in Basel. It's been a bit of a challenge so far. I believe the ice crew of Hans Wuttrich and Stefan Rüthlisberger has been doing a great job of keeping the ice at the level we're having. Seeing a lot of curl and swing. As just going to have a look at Sheet B. An update for you between Switzerland and Korea. It's Swiss skip Sven Michael trying to run off a few yellows here to score what looks like 3. And a great little shot there for the team that dropped 2 games yesterday, looking to ping back here in front of the home crowd.
Definitely important for Switzerland to make a to make a good start after a poor day yesterday. Well, back in our featured game, the play is starting to come towards that corner guard.
Thomas Lips, coach for Germany. Of course, himself a prominent player for Switzerland. Paul Trilson, the Olympic champion from 2002. Quite the character. He's also the General Secretary of the Norwegian Curling Federation. Pretty much runs the whole show back home. Home for me, anyway, being Norwegian.
Enten må du gå ned på farta, eller så må du ta mindre is.
Hæ? Ja. Det er bare Torgeir. Jeg koster selv om ingen ber meg om.
Didn't win the Norwegian Championship this year, Team Ulsrud. First time in a long time. It's been almost a decade of dominance for this team back in Norway. And it was actually their alternate player, Markus Høiberg, and his team that ended up winning it. But the team that was going to Worlds was predetermined before the Nationals, having seen Team Ulsrud having much better season overall.
Good to see some new faces coming through in Norway, Sander.
Oh yeah, definitely. Things are leveling out a lot more. We haven't, well, Team Ulsrud's just been so dominant for so many years. If you go a decade back, you had teams like Poltersen, you had Egil Ramsfjell, Thomas Ulsrud, and so on. It was a bit tighter. It's a bit of a tighter competition back then. But a lot of youngsters make their way through the ranks.
Sander, some might say that likes of Thomas Ulsrud and Torgeir Nørgaard are coming to the end of their curling careers. Is there any concern in Norway for what the future of Norwegian curling might be at the highest level?
Well, I think the team we saw win the Norwegian Championship this year is very much on their way to becoming a very, very good team. So I believe if any of these guys will step back, they'll be able to pass on the torch fairly quickly. So seems like we have some safety anyway. But we have been discussing if these two boys here at the back end of Norway, whether they'll be quitting the game for a number of years now, just seem to stick around.
Yeah, they keep saying that they're going to quit, but then they keep coming back, much to the displeasure of many of the other players in the field.
Yeah, I believe Thomas Ulsrud, in the winning interview after the title back in 2014, pretty much announced his vice skip Torgeir Nørgaard's retirement, and then that didn't happen.
They just can't stay away. So a mistake there from Alex Baumann. Catches a bit of frost and over curls on the head and stick.
Christopher Sva, aka Bumpy, dragging this one as far as he can. He's done a good job with it too.
That's a really long guard, so it was important to stay high in the house there. Actually just pokes out the other side of the guard a little bit, so maybe a chance for Baumann to make a quiet weight take out around the outside of that corner guard.
Always with that chewing gum, Alexander Baumann. Very animated skip, as he will actually over curl and tickle that guard. It's not the first time we've seen Baumann over curl, especially on that in turn. Seems to really move for him. And that has now left a wide open draw for Team Norway to score their two.
Thomas Ulsrud not wasting any time. In our featured game yesterday afternoon between Denmark and Canada, both teams really riding the clocks hard after two extremely aggressive first ends. just a formality really, this draw for Thomas. Right down onto the pot lid.
Yeah, he's made this shot a few thousand times. And it will be a score of 2 for the Norwegians as they lead Germany 2-1 after 2 ends of play here at the World Men's Championship.
Det var helt vilt den kølla.
Og så har han dårligste til Kosovo, da.
Welcome back to Basel, Switzerland. We're in the St. Jakobshalle here for the World Men's Curling Championship 2016. We got Norway playing Germany on sheet A. So far it is Norway with a 1-point lead, having scored a deuce in that second end. Putting up that centre guard. Really wanting to force the issue.
Well, I think they've come out there with that strategy to put pressure onto Alex Baumann, and he did crumble under it a little bit there in the second end, giving up the softest of twos really. It's not really what you need either when you're coming off the back of 3 straight defeats. You need to make a strong start, as we mentioned earlier. And already Germany on the back foot. Mentioned that they are only 1 shot behind and do have the last on advantage, so Germany don't need to panic too much at the moment, but definitely been a stronger start for Norway.
Lead Håvard Pettersson making his second run back of the game. This one sticking it in behind cover as we skip over to sheet D. It's Tom Brewster, skip of Scotland. In the second end, seeing the first one being blanked versus Japan.
Well, an important game this for Scotland. Won their first 2 games, including a win against Norway. But wheels came off the wagon a little bit against Russia yesterday and Canada to play next. So an important one, just to keep above that 0.5 win ratio. Nicely done there by Tom to score 1.
Schweizer trying to draw around those yellows. We'll just sit fairly in the open.
Det gikk mye inn, han tenker ned her. Ja, men det ikke noe glattere heller.
Ja, han tenker det er nok ikke noe glattere.
Ja. Opp. Ja. Spise senter i front. Spise senter. Hardt! Ja. Hardt! Hardt! Harre!
We'll make a little hit and stick. Mention how his nickname is Bumpy. From his junior days, where I believe someone made a note of him looking like a gummy bear, which is what the gummy bears in Scandinavia is bumpy bears. So. And then after that, hosting a social tournament back in Oslo for a good decade. It was a nice kick-off to the curling season, and that nickname has stuck. As we'll see, this stone just over-curling, finding its way through the gap of the Ilves and the top 12. And no amount of sweeping could hold it there.
Oh, don't think he liked that one. Yeah, and interestingly, Bumpy is resurrecting a tournament this summer. No, it won't be the Bumpy Cup as it was in its previous form, but having more of a charity spin. I believe it's taking place at the start of June this year.
Yep, he's been talking about it for a while. Always likes to organize things and events, and it's been a bit of a passion for him. And if it wasn't for his active curling career, he'd probably get into that sort of business, event management.
Well, that one just over curled a fraction really and shaves the guard, but perhaps needed it to take some of the speed off it. Have another look there, trying to keep it straight with the brushes, just glances off that top guard.
Well, does even curl a wee bit after touching the guard to find some cover.
Vorne schon gut. Kontrolle über den Vierfuß. Vorne schon gut. Der da, ja. Ja. Innen.
Mark Skatovitz does have an older sister, Nicole, has also played for Germany. She was alternating for Germany back in 2013 and came on to play as second in 2014 under Andrea Schöpp. Now, more action from She'd Be. It's Skip Kim of Korea with his last stone, trailing by 3. Looking to pick up a few points here. And it will be a little nice hit and stick for Korea to score 2, to get back in it. They've had a tough week so far with 3 losses. It's a bit surprising. It's been a team that's been pretty good on the tour this season, but they've also been quite inconsistent. And I wouldn't be too surprising if they start to win a few games. Working hard, and they've been putting a lot of money into curling in Korea, obviously for the Olympics in Pyeongchang. You'll see the swap of the brooms. Is there any difference between the 2 brooms, Logan? Is one more abrasive than the other?
I have absolutely no idea. Sander, they both look the same. One's red and one's blue, but I would have thought the materials would be similar.
I believe what some teams do is they keep the most abrasive brush on the outside to get some extra curl.
Yeah, I think the likelihood is that maybe one of the pads are slightly fresher than the other one, so maybe that's the thinking there.
Ja, rulle ut! Stopp! Ja. Rent! Rent!
Ja, Håvard.
Rent! Wow! Wow! Rent! Vær klar, Svan! Vær klar, Svan!
Wow.
Wow!
You will see that directional sweeping come into play just a little bit. Back and forth between the two.
Og så ta noen drag, sånn. Nei, altså, vær klar.
Jeg synes også ta noen drag, så. Hva var det du sa, Thomas? Sa du vær klar, eller ta noen
Vær
drag?
klar. Sehr aktiv! 40, aktiv!
Achtung. Ja, Boki.
Ja, ja, ja! Hard, 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 hard! Hard!
We'll definitely see the directional sweeping come into play here with Mark Muskatovic really trying to make this one bend. Just going to catch it a bit too high and roll out. Still not putting any pressure on Norway. Norwegians are being able to play their simple shots. Not having to do very much yet.
Ja, ok. Var det full 8 da, gutter?
Hva ser dere etter han? Tror den som får hammeren nå? Ja, det var jo der jeg dro i det sporet, 95 som var akkurat inn. Så jeg skal legge på en meter
Vil
for
du
det.
ha sangen mer enn forrige grade?
Jeg har fått det nå. Forrige var ikke i nærheten av kølla, altså. Hæ? Forrige min er sånn, var på slutten at han dro. Det her er mer enn nok
Ja, det
isen
er
var.
på slutten av sin drag.
Ja, men det her er mer enn nok isen var. Ja. Legge på en meter fra forrige.
Nei, forrige var jo 12 på uten fots.
Ja.
Det holder det.
Again, a lot of discussion before the shot.
Hva linje er der nå? Linje er der nå?
Yeah, I think they're just trying to steer one down
Ja, ja, ja.
onto the button.
Bare dø! Bare dø!
Running a little bit higher than I would have liked. Slight let off for Germany there, drifting past the T-line. I think Thomas knew that one was a little bit hot out of his hand.
Definitely four strong characters in Norway. None of them are afraid to say what they feel, what they mean, and they're usually quite brutally honest with each other. Sometimes maybe I'll pass on a few comments here and there. You seem to be able to brush it off though. It's just their style. Seem to be arguing a little bit, but it's just how they work.
I think when they know each other as well as they do, and they've played together for as long as they have, that kind of brutal honesty can be a great way to operate. And as you say, as long as the guys can not take it personally and just kind of brush it off, then it's definitely the best way to solve problems along the way.
It's definitely two ways of doing it. You'll see some teams that, for example, Mark Kennedy will very quietly or nicely suggest other things for Kevin Cooey, while the region boys are just brutally honest and not tippy-toeing around what they want to what they want to say. This one just making all redirect off the top yellow. Actually finds a decent spot in the end. Full forefoot, shot stone with that yellow stone behind it. I believe Norway has called appeal. Just going to try and cleanly pick that red stone out without moving their back yellow. That way they'll sit two and force Germany to score a one. Germany on the other end, hoping he's going to rip both of them, leaving only the one yellow in play. And they might be able to blank.
Nei, nei.
Håvard! Svart! Svart! Håvard! Svart! Håvard! 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 Håvard!
Clean picks it. Great shot by Thomas Ulsrud. So Norway lying 2 here in the third end. And should just be a draw to the button for 1. Well, it looks like they're maybe electing to play the takeout on that Yellowstone with the ice that they've given. Did throw that in-turn draw in the first end, so could also be a plausible option.
Last stone of the third end for Alexander Baumann. Second time with hammer, second time he's being forced to score 1 in the first end. As you said, it was a draw this time. A nose hit, and he will do just enough to stick around to score. So after 3 ends of play, it's all tied up at 2 each. Norway now having got the hammer. Can definitely hear the kids' antics in the St. Jakobshalle today. A few school classes making their way in for the morning draw here at the World Men's Curling Championship. Down to the 4th end in our future game between Germany and Norway. So far it's tied at 2 each. Norway being able to turn the hammer around very efficiently by forcing Germany in the first end, scoring 2 themselves, and another force in third. And to no surprise, we'll see Norway put up the corner guard and try and generate a multiple score in the 4th end as well.
I would still say this is quite an advanced call from the Norwegians, a very aggressive one, not one that you would necessarily recommend to your club curlers. I think you would see a lot of teams choosing to go around the centre guard there, but Norway very good at generating a bit of play and action and getting it going towards the corner guard, and if they can do that and keep the centre reasonably open, it's going to give them a great chance to score 2 here. Sebastian Schweitzer making a super start to the week. 91% for his first 3 outings.
Yeah, he's shown some great draw weight this week. in an event where we've seen a lot of teams actually struggle with that, with the ice being maybe a tad tracky and frosty at times. And of course the commentator's curse coming into play as Schweizer pulling up short on this draw.
Vad Pedersen, just 83% for the week. You would certainly expect to see that number go up as the week continues on, as the players start to get used to the ice conditions, and the ice does tend to bed in as well and become a bit more consistent as the week goes on. Again, just a little bit heavy there. There's a fair chance that Howard's having to deal with quite a slow stone, as I mentioned earlier. Canada yesterday afternoon had some huge problems with the stones in this set. Saw even the 2010 Olympic champion Ben Hebert dropping one short of the hog line and then putting his next one through the house in one end. So definitely not an easy task.
Is that information Canada would share with Norway or keep a secret? How would Norway find out about the stones?
I'm not too sure Canada would share that information with the Norwegians, but I'm sure they probably have half an eye on the Canadians a lot of the time. The Canadians will be probably favourites at the start of the week, and a lot of the teams do have some spies out there who are watching the other teams and what order they're throwing the stones in. So yeah, there's always opportunities to learn from your opposition. Of course, the teams do have an opportunity to match the stones at the night practice after all the competitions done for the day. Then there's some night practice for the teams to go on and test the stones.
Japan-Scotland update on sheet D. It's Skip Morozumi of Japan with his last stone of the third end, trailing Scotland by 1. This one seems to be a nose hit through the port of those guards, coming very close to that center guard, actually making the roll in behind, scoring 1. And it will be a tied ball game after 3 ends of play.
Oh, that was a huge sweep there by Yamaguchi to get that one past the centre guard. How costly could that have been if that had rubbed? So the centre play now wide open for Norway. Could well be a long end from here for the Germans. Of course, generally you will see the team with the last stone trying to keep the centre open and make a play out to the wings, so that if things do go a little bit pear-shaped, then they can draw one into the middle to score 1 and there's no damage done, whereas the team without the last stone trying to do the opposite and clog up the middle. And Germany clearly not doing a very good job of it in this end. Manuel Walter only playing 74% for the first 3 games. Really needing those numbers to be up in the 80s to compete at the top level. Torgeir Nergard, 88%, the third player for Norway. Of course, a very accomplished skip as well, making it all the way to the World Championship final in 2010 in Thomas Ulstrud's absence, losing out to Kevin Cooey in the final. So the nose of that yellow stone just starting to get a little bit higher in the house now, and maybe a little bit of an angle here that Germany could make a double takeout on these two yellow stones. Oh, super shot. Really gave that one some hot sauce on the release. Makes a lovely double.
Lot of the stones in play on sheet B as Swiss skip Sven Michael looking for what I believe is an in-turn draw.
Yeah, already lying two as well. Looks like it's going to be another big end here for Switzerland. Comes down onto their own red stone. And just gives them enough of a nudge to get another one in there. Score of 3 for Switzerland, and after 3 ends, it's Switzerland 6, Korea 2. Well, Norway have managed to get some misses from Alex Baumann on the internal already during this game. Will they get another one here? Just 69% for the week so far, Alex. Well, I'm not sure how advisable it would have been for the Germans to roll underneath the guard. I thought they might have tried to sweep that and roll back towards the centre. They're always going to leave an opportunity for Thomas Schulschut to come around and freeze on the red stone if they went behind the guard. So a nice chance here for Norway.
You're saying that red stone might provide Germany with more problems than good, where it's lying at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. It looks very nice in behind the guard and all that. But at the end of the day, if Tom Schulschut freezes his yellow stone onto that red one, it's going to be nigh impossible to remove it. So. Slightly missed the sweeping call there a little bit. Was that "Are you serious" in the region?
Is it possible? That's what I said. It's just about the same, really.
Yeah, they were sweeping it all the way down to try and hold the line, and then it had too much weight. So, bit of a miscommunication there, or misjudgment certainly. And definitely a let-off for Germany.
I think that was the vice skipper's fault. The sweepers were yelling out 7-8, 7-8 all the way down, and definitely wasn't more than about back a T-line weight. So Baumann will be able to come after it. Maybe try and set 2 now and give Norway a piece of their own medicine. And again, Baumann over curling on his in-turn. So it seems to be the story of the week for him, and he's going to have to do something about that. It'll be interesting to see his stats on his in-turn shots compared to his out-turns, because it seems to be the story so far. And he's going to leave another very easy draw for Norway. Again, to score 2, as you'll see our stopwatch on the screen. Last time we saw that, it was Alexander Baumann making a perfect draw in the first end at 12.8 seconds. I wouldn't be surprised if we're slower than that, 13.8, so a second quicker. We're just a tiny bit of sweeping to make this one enter the top of the 4. And Norway does score a 2. Perfect game execution so far on the scoreboard. 2 forces and 2 scores of 2. And they will lead the game by 2 points after 4 ends. Back in action. Now in the 5th end. Norway with a 2-point lead. So this time, Håvard Vald Pettersson not throwing the center guard, but rather playing a draw. This one just over curling a tad. Just hearing the Norwegians discussing that stone, if it might curl a touch more.
Well, the sweepers just sneak this one over the hog line. Not really in a usable position at the moment, though. Mark Muskatovitz looking up, trying to find out where the hog line is. I did just manage to get it over and no more.
Linja bra. 5. Er du sikker på det? Ser ut som han bråstopper nå, så. Ja, men han stopper.
Calling this one heavy early on, but
Dra han inn, da.
I think it maybe pulling up.
Bra. Garden har ikke vært så mye, da.
Will not do so. It will enter the top 8. So just a little bit of inaccuracy from the Norwegian lead as we take a look at Sheet C. It's Sweden playing Russia after 3 blank ends. It's Nicholas Edin being forced to play a draw against 2. And second player, Christian Lindström, giving his all. Nicholas calling on Oscar Eriksson to sweep it, to help out, to drag this one as far as it can go. I'm not sure if it's going to get there in time. And that is just going to be good enough to cut Russia down to 1. So a big steal for the Russians, who have impressed everyone, I think, with winning 2 games, and now definitely putting a little bit of pressure on Sweden after 4 ends of play. The Russian team were told, was it just announced the day before the championship started that their initial team was pulled due to illness. And this Russian team just having to make their way to Basel. And so far, I'd say they've done quite well.
Well, definitely there must have been a little bit of concern in Russia that they might not get as many Olympic qualification points as they might have done if Stukalski and his boys were here. They're certainly more than holding their own at the moment. Back in our featured game, Germany struggling to hold their own against this Norwegian side. A good hit and roll there by Mark Muskatovic.
Good shooting.
They will just pick that red stone off the top. You might see Germany try and make a roll in behind cover, although that guard not providing perhaps the necessary protection. As Schweizer, I believe, tripping on the guard again.
Got a little bit of deja vu here.
So I don't believe he moved it over, and they'll just leave it there.
It's been a pretty textbook first half from the Norwegians. I'd be more than happy to play ends like this with not too many guards in play, not too many stones in play, really.
Yeah, they certainly don't mind just playing the scoreboard.
Aber mit 0 kriegst du ihn auch nicht rumgezogen, keine Chance.
The stones now just being placed higher and higher in the house. Almost running out of rings now.
Langsam! Ja! Hard! Hard! Face! Face! Ganze Weg! Ganze Weg! Face!
Germany does make the hit and stick, as we have another update for you. It's Sheet B, Switzerland leading that game 6 shots to 2 over Korea. And it is Korea. Played their last stone.
Ready. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa. Ready.
This looks to be a nose hit for 2. No worries, no problem. And they'll claw back just a little bit there. Still trailing by 2.
Komm mal mit 0. Mach sauber von Anfang an.
Also ich.
Can't quite see how Germany's scoring 2 in this 5th end. That's unless they're able to roll 10 feet and 5 feet back up, it's more than likely going to be a blank end. Baumann just needing to hit and stick. Doesn't want to roll out here. Might leave Norway a draw around that long corner. That might just be enough for them to force Germany to take their one. So important to sit out in the 12 foot, and they will. And there's no realistic roll to make here, so Norway again just playing the same shot, hit and stick, and they'll leave Germany to blank. So this will be the last stone of the first half of our game. After this, both teams will head into the halftime break, which is about 5 minutes. A chance for them to talk to their coaches and so on. Germany try and plan ahead a wee bit. Norway is going to be quite content with their performance so far, as we're seeing quite the big mistake from Alexander Baumann. I can barely believe what I'm seeing here. We talked about him over curling a lot of the interns, and I could just see him here gesturing, saying that, yeah, just flicked that one out. So Norway steals 1 in the 5th end. A bit of a surprise. They'll lead that game with a 3-point lead now.
So here in the 2nd end, Germany against Norway. A huge mistake from Alex Baumann, over curling with the intern takeout around the corner guard. Leaves paint for 2 for Norway, and a 2-1 lead. And then here in the 3rd end, Alex Baumann again facing 2 yellow stones. Just needs to make the takeout at the back of the 4-foot, and does so with no room to spare. 1 on the board for Germany, tie game. And then in the 4th end, again a well executed end by the Norwegians. And the mistake on that in-turn from Alex Baumann, over curls, chips the guard and leaves the 8 foot for 2 for Norway. Never anywhere else. 4-2 Norway, and after 5 ends, it's Norway 5, Germany 2.
We'll see the other scores out in the St. Jakobshalle for this morning draw. It's Switzerland leading Korea 6-4 at halftime with last on advantage. More uneventful on sheet C, just the 1 point being awarded to Russia after they stole one in the 4th end. And also not a lot of points up on the board for Japan, Scotland. They're tied at 1 each, as Scotland has last on yet to finish their 5th end. Actually, only our future game having made it into the halftime break. The quickest of the 4 sheets out there this morning. Hopefully a banana will improve Baumann's game for the next 5 ends. He's had a bit of a struggle so far. Is there much needing to be said at halftime if you're, let's say, if you're Norway?
No, I don't think so, Sander. I think it's just about maintaining concentration and doing exactly what they've been doing so far. I think they know that Germany are struggling, their back end not playing particularly well, so I don't think they'll be wanting to take any risks though in this second half, just more of the same.
We'll see some of the stats for the first 5 ends. Norway out shooting Germany by quite a bit, playing 91% to Germany's 73. Just overall better, both their draws and hits, picking up that 1 stolen point in that 5th end when Baumann completely freshed his blank attempt. So we'll have our little montage. Just waiting for the teams to make their way back onto the ice, as the kids can see themselves up on the Jumbotron. Is that the kind of moves we'll expect to see from you when we get to the banquet, Logan?
I think thankfully for everyone I'll be away home by then, Sander. But yeah, I think that that kid will be regretting that in 20 years' time if that piece of footage ever turns up. His 30th birthday.
If you're just joining us, we're here in Basel for the World Men's Curling Championship. You're listening to myself, Sander Ulvåg, and I'm joined by my expert Logan Gray to provide you with some insightful comments. How's your German, Logan?
I think it's on an even par with my Norwegian.
Okay. We'll see the scoreboard. 5 ends having been played, Norway leading 5-2. It's really Germany having it all to do. Trailing by 3. Schweizer. Lead for Germany, needs to put up these guards, take advantage of the free guard zone. If you ever slip into the rings here, the end is pretty much over, and they can't afford to make too many mistakes, as time is already sort of running out for them, needing to put points up on the board.
It's not an insurmountable difference on the scoreboard at this point. Just 3 points. I think it's quite important though. The next score is German, and ideally at least 2. So Verdvad Pedersen playing 91% for the game. And that tournament stat will start to creep up.
Thomas Ulsrud enjoying a pretty good statistic against Germany in international competition for his curling career. 21 wins and 6 losses so far, having played them for the very first time back in 1985 when he played the World Junior Championship under skip Björn Ulshagen, beating the infamous Andy Capp in the round robin.
It's been a bit of a struggle today for Sebastian, just 75% for the game. Not quite scaling the same heights that he's reached in the first 3 games.
I believe we can hear the Alp horns at the stands. Not sure if that's as easy to hear for the ones at home as for us sitting here in the arena, but two of them up there giving a little bit of a concert here halfway through the draw.
Have you ever blown one of them, Sander?
No, I believe I haven't. I can remember back in Cortina for the World Men's in 2010, we saw the Swiss skip Stefan Cornusian bring out one of the Alp horns and giving everyone quite the show.
You know, now you say that, Sander, it might well be Stefan Cornusian is up there. Certainly looks like him. They actually had one of those horns in Chambéry at one of the World Curling Tour events, and we had a go, but it wasn't quite as tuneful when we tried to recreate it.
Just going to acknowledge Christopher Svah's peel there. Was able to take off the corner and the stone top 12. Now lying 3. An incredible shot. Not leaving Germany with a whole lot of well, stones in play. There's only the 3 yellows to play around with. So they're going to try and use those stones somehow. This might just be a little tap up, looking to maybe put up a little pocket at the back of the house.
Nicely done. Creates a pocket, as you said, Sander.
And it is Stefan Cornusian up there.
Great spot from the far end. Of course, Stefan Cornusian has represented Switzerland on a few occasions.
We also had the live band in here for the first day of play to just add a bit of class to the opening draws. We also saw the teams march through town, through the old town of Basel, for the opening ceremony, with that same live band, trying to create a bit of a buzz in the city that inhabits just shy of 200,000 people. Basel, certainly a city that appreciates its sport, hosting many big sporting events. We have the ATP tennis events being held in this very arena, actually. As we'll take a look at Sheet D, it's Japan, Scotland tied at 1 each, and Tom Brewster looks to have a outturn draw to score 1. So no multiple scores in that game so far, unless Tom Brewster pulls up short or heavy on this draw. Seems like Japan is lying too. Glenn Muirhead out there to try and sweep it to get the curl. It is a bit heavy and will slide with Shimizu sweeping behind of T, and it's a steal of 2 for Japan in the 5th end, so we will have our first multiple score.
Well, it just looked to me like Tom was sliding a little bit inside the brush there and had to give it a little bit of help just to get out there for the line, and maybe just gave it a little bit of extra pace with it. So big mistake there. And Scotland now trail Japan by 3 shots to 1.
Do you think when you have a stone in the forefoot like that and with the directional sweeping, you tend to think it's better throwing it a tad too heavy, having a chance to maybe get a finish onto a backing? More now this season than before?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it was always that you would always err on the inside to make shots, because we only thought that we could have an impact on the stone to make it straight, but of course you can do either. You can either make it curl or straight. Now there's a little bit more of a kind of remote control element to it, so definitely gives the thrower a little bit more room for error. But whatever the theory, they certainly didn't get it right on that last one.
One player that has been able to make a right or two is vice skip of Norway, Tore Granerigo, playing 89% for the tournament and having even more solid numbers for this game against Germany. Looking to peel the red and roll out, not wanting to leave too many yellow stones in the house. Just having a bit of a whistle there. Whistling's always a good sign. Not a lot of people whistle when they're upset and disappointed.
No, and not a lot of people whistle when they're trying to stop their sweepers sweeping either, like Rasmus Stjerne does.
Thomas Ulster does that too, actually. I haven't seen him done it so far, but when it gets too noisy. Would you be annoyed by that as a sweeper? To be whistled at?
Well, you know, Sandra, I'm used to being whistled at. But no, I don't think so, as long as it's an effective communication. And it does seem to do the job, especially when everyone's roaring, all 4 sheets are roaring at the same time, and you've got a lot of people in the stadium as well. That was a lovely draw there by the Germans. Managed to hook one right around the back, but I just wonder if it's a little bit too late in the end for them to be able to bring that into play. Thomas Hulsrud's now going to throw a guard.
Norway will throw the guard. Solid numbers for the Norwegian skip, as always.
Yep, technically one of the best. Thomas.
Sporting in the floral trousers today. It's inspired by something called Urul Somali. Directly translated rose painting. It's a bit of it's a style of decorative painting in Norway. It's tradition. Mostly painted on wood, like cake boxes and so on. It's one of the new patterns they had for the Sochi Olympics. Remembering they had those what we could call clown pants in Vancouver 4 years later in Sochi, they brought out, I think it was about 10 new patterns. Even playing in knickerbockers and a sixpence hat. Very much the life of the curling circuit. Putting a bit of fun into the game. But now it's just, we've grown accustomed to them wearing those trousers, haven't we?
Yeah, their attitude's great, and to be honest, they're a little bit of a dying breed, unfortunately, in curling. It is a really sociable sport, and but at this level, the standard getting higher and higher, and teams taking it more and more serious. But you'll still see the Norwegian guys sitting at the end of the sheet, the VIP section here in Basel, having a glass of wine in the evening when they've got the evening off, like they did last night. Sat at the end of the sheet and enjoyed a fantastic game between Canada and USA last night.
Yeah, definitely a bit of the old school. Just making sure they are enjoying themselves and having a good time, and when they do, seem to play well.
I think they have a good balance, though. They know when to rein it in and take it seriously.
Yeah, it's a long week, so I guess if you're just focusing on curling every minute, it might just tire you out. So they know how to relax a little bit. As you see, Baumann just pulling way short of that freeze attempt. Top 12. Norway sitting 2.
Jeg er ikke fremme for å fryse en til pengene, men jeg kan ikke legge opp noe hvis vi bommer da. Men vi kan ikke legge på noe. Vi kan ikke legge opp på 2. Nei, vi kan ikke. Han kan ikke få 2, så. Torgil, da drar vi frys da. Frys.
Now, just a reminder that the Yellowstones are Norwegian. So they're lying 2 at the moment. And I think just some discussion here over where they go with this final stone. How deep into the house do they dare to go here?
I think the initial call was, let's lob one more stone in there. They were just discussing and making sure to see if Germany had some options to score 2. And I think they realized they're going to have to miss quite badly to leave anything. So definitely worth the risk to come around here on the outturn. No risk at all, really. And if they can lock one on the button here, it'll be hard to see Germany even scoring. Calling it T-line. Now calling it just in behind T-line. And I think he's found a pretty decent spot there, Thomas Ulsrud. Norway lying 3. Not much real estate for Germany to draw to on the intern. If that was, they were thinking about doing that. You could just see the pin barely on the Legrier logo.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of a lack of awareness shown by the Germans just a couple of stones ago when they chose to draw around the 2 yellow stones in the house to the back of the 8 foot. I think that late in the end, Norway were always going to throw the guard. And now Alex Baumann with next to nothing to work with here. Going to do well to cut it to 2, never mind anything less.
Well, this could definitely be the draw of the week. If it makes this one. Last stone of the 6th end, a tall task for German skip Baumann. He's got about a half an inch of room to score his single, trailing by 3. Can't really afford to give up another steal. And this one will over curl, catch the top yellow. It's a steal of 3 for Norway, bringing the scoreline to 8-2. Germany just having a discussion if they want to keep playing or not. 6 ends having been played, that's the minimum. They could shake hands right here if they want to. but they might just want to try and play a little more, make some shots before their next game. They do have the afternoon off before playing Denmark tonight. And that, oh, well, actually, after a long discussion there, we will see them shake hands. So this game is over. Norway wins it 8 shots to a pretty solid performance from the Norwegians. Not having to do all that much, really, just making all their simple shots well and then taking their opportunities, taking advantage of the misses from Team Germany. Is that a fair assessment, Logan?
Yeah, absolutely. A dominant performance for Norway. And Germany with a huge amount of work to do if they want to score any wins this week.
We'll be, we're going to continue with some more curling action. Of course, a few other games out there in the arena, and we're going to choose to pan over to Sheet D, where Japan plays Scotland. And it's Tom Brewster. We're down to the last stone. I believe they're looking to blank the end here. Gave up a steal of 2 in the 5th end, so
We've got to go for this, eh?
trailing by a few points. Wanting to blank the end here, retain the hammer, the last stone advantage.
Well, Scotland were looking good for a multiple score here with 2 in behind the guards, but Yosuke Morizumi just played a fantastic raise double to get them out of trouble, and the result is just a blank end. Scotland will keep the last stone going into the 7th end. It's Japan 3, Scotland 1.
You put that behind the sheet. Yep.
Well, if you tuned in expecting Germany-Norway, it's all done and dusted. Just 6 ends required for Norway to dispatch the Germans by a scoreline of 8 shots to 2, following a big steal of 3 in the 6th end. So we've just flicked over to Scotland against Japan. And you see a big steal of 2 there in the 5th end after a badly judged draw with Tom Brewster's last stone of the end. Gives up the steal of 2. And then a terrific run back double there by Yosuke Morizumi. results in a blank end in the 6th.
Don't be too long, guys.
Japan currently on 2 wins and 1 loss, as are Scotland. So an important game. If you move to 3 wins and 1 loss, you're certainly putting yourself in a great position to make the playoffs. Still very early in the week though. Corner guard goes up from Scotland. Hammy McMillan throwing lead stones. Kosuke Morizumi, the 27-year-old, throwing lead stones for Japan. So Japan choose to throw the second one into the rings, and Scotland are going to try and tidy things up in the centre line before taking the play towards the corner guard. Well, just moves the one and leaves it lying directly in front of that red stone. So Japan not choosing to throw the guard. They're going to come out and request the peel on the corner. Also want to play reasonably tight here in the second half, defender lead. Tsuyoshi Yamaguchi, the second player for this Japanese team. He's been on the team for 7 years now. A very well established strength this. Japan winning silver medal at the Pacific Championships in Kazakhstan in 2014. And 2015. They've actually won the silver medal the last 4 years at the Pacific Championships. Good enough to get them here to the World Championship, but I'm sure they'd like to break their duck and get that gold medal they've been craving. And a nice guard there by Ross Patterson. Lines it up in front of the yellow stone at the top of the house. And now with the play in the centre of the sheet, the Japanese will start to play a little bit more aggressively. I'd say if there has been any sort of criticism of Japanese strategy is that they can tend to get sucked into the opposition's style of play and end up with too many stones in play from a winning position. Certainly could have afforded to peel the guard here. Well, comes up short and actually leaves another guard for Tom Brewster and the Scottish team to use.
Start the swing.
Taking masses of ice, just under 4 feet for the curl in this draw. So here's Ross Patterson with the outturn.
Wait only.
Lives in Mount Vernon in Glasgow.
Line's good. Whoa, wait only. Yep. Line. Whoa. Whoa.
Won the Scottish Championship for the first time, Ross, after many failed attempts. Has represented Scotland a few times though at 2 European Championships, a World Juniors and a World Universities. And just drifts a little bit deep with that drop.
Lucky. That's okay.
So here's Tetsuro Shimizu. He's a salesman in a leisure facility. Lives in Karizawa. And plays out of the Karizawa Curling Club, just like the rest of the team. Well, tries to get the curl at the end. And just bounces off. And who's lying second shot? I wonder. So Glenn Muirhead, the third player, of course, brother of Olympic bronze medal winning Eve Muirhead, and his younger brother is Thomas Muirhead, who represented Scotland at the European Championships in Esbjerg in Denmark in December, qualifying Scotland for the World Championships this week.
It's great there.
And it's a better draw this time by Scotland, getting in a more usable position in front of the tee line. Let's just pop over to sheet B. 2 scores of 3 so far in the first half for Sven Michael against Korea. And a chance to score a whole bundle here in the fifth end. And no problem at all for Sven. Puts 4 on the board, and it's 10-4 at halftime. You just can't see that game going too much further. Switzerland 10, Korea 4. So I'd just like to welcome back to the commentary booth Sander Rovag for the second half of this draw 6.
Yeah, just had to pop down for a whole interview with the winning skip Thomas Ullsrud, and we'll be able to see that later on. Just want to wrap up the session here, of course, with some more curling action firstly.
Okay. What way?
A lot of stones in play.
No, there certainly is, and in your absence, Sander, I mentioned that sometimes Japan can get a little bit sucked into an aggressive game when they're leading, which can work, but it also always gives the team chasing the game that chance to get back into it. Well, Scotland going to try and rumble some stones here. That red stone just next to Tom's brush, so they're going to try and drive that onto the yellow on the left-hand side of the centre line and redirect it onto the red closest to the button. It makes it really good. They could be lying a couple here. Glenn Muirhead, his specialty is definitely these big weight takeouts. And looks a little bit inside. Has he done enough? Oh, he certainly has. Perfect shot.
Great sweep.
Well, looked inside all the way down, but great sweep there by Ross Patterson to get it back to target.
Yeah, I think that was a great example of the directional sweeping.
Yeah, that was almost backing up all the way down the ice and hits it in the perfect spot. Yeah, it was first Scottish title for Glenn Muirhead as well this year.
Beating Dave Murdoch in the final of the Scottish Championship. Warzumi And his Japanese squad finishing second at the Pacific Asia Curling Championships, a 6th time in a row to have done so, losing the final. As we're seeing quite the audacious call from the skipper. They're trying to come off the wide one here. They are, and it's a good attempt, but catches it a bit too thick.
Yeah, only good enough to lie 4th shot. I'm not sure that was the percentage call coming off the winger there. I think I've seen a lot of teams playing the draw. So, a glorious chance here for Scotland.
Freezing. Freezing the pocket. He's freezing anyway. Just go by deep on that one. The problem is he might hit the outside that yellow and lift the double. Might even lift the triple. That's why. You like that ice?
Not taking a lot of ice here. Does it tend to curl a bit less coming this way on the
Go for top 4.
the wide path of the sheet closest to the crowd?
No, 'cause he's got.
On sheet D, the end sheet.
Well, Ross Patterson threw this draw just a few shots ago and they didn't take a huge amount of ice, so they should know this path at least. So here's Tom Brewster, the 41-year-old curling club manager from Aberdeen. Oh, plays in Aberdeen. He's from Lockerbie originally.
Whoa, it's got to be.
Well, he's brought another young team to the World Championship. Go back a few years, you saw him bring Greg Drummond, Scott Andrews and Michael Goodfellow to the World Championship. And their first season together made it all the way to the final, and they were able to replicate that the next year. Back-to-back silver medals. Now those 3 boys playing with David Murdoch. And he's brought 3 young guys. Were able to beat his former teammates in the final of the Scottish. It'll be interesting to see if he can pull out the same kind of stuff this week.
Yeah, and actually he had a shot to win the World Championship here in the St. Jakobshalle in Basel, playing against Glenn Howard and his Canadian team. Didn't quite come off on that occasion and ended up losing the final in the extra end to pick up the silver medal. Well, they're in a bit of a mess here, the Japanese. Lying 2, maybe even 3 against, and doesn't really look like they've got any great options. Could try a slash double just to give up 2. Would seem like their safest call to me to limit the damage. Maybe playing onto the one on the button and then removing the one at the back of the forefoot. They seem to be lining up something a little bit more adventurous. Well, if you ever get this wrong, then you're losing 4.
Are you surprised by this call?
Well, not after seeing his first call. Yeah, certainly adventurous.
I just wonder if it's a show of nerves for Marzumi. The later stages of games tends to opt for the most difficult shots. Obviously, less pressure throwing the most difficult shots. So if you missed them, you can say, well, that was pretty tough. Rather than make the simple shots under pressure. We'll see what he can manage here. Red, yellow, red. Couple of yellows will move, but how far will they move? And what is left for Tom Brewster? I believe Japan is lying shot stone, but they're both grouped together at the back there. As you see that red stone just kind of squeezing past everything.
It's always the danger when you're moving so many stones. You can just never quite guarantee where they're all going to lie, and where they're all going to fall. Gives it the old heave-ho.
Yeah, definitely felt like a bit of a gamble.
Oh, I think initially he probably liked it, and then it just wiggled its way through and finishes in a lovely spot, really, for Scotland.
Just running through the emotions there, watching a stone come down, thinking, yes, it's good, no, maybe not.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
a lot of things happening.
until the stones finally stopped, he probably thought he was okay. He played a good shot, but does leave a straightforward double takeout to score 3 for Scotland.
Tom Brewster with some help from Ross Patterson here, trying to keep it straight. How many do we have? We got 4. Is he even able to stick the shooter? Huge shot from a big curling player, Tom Brewster, to flip this game. They're now going to lead this game 5 shots to 3 after 7 ends of play. And a couple of dodgy calls from Japan leaves Scotland a big shot. And we'll be back.
I got out there. See when I'm sliding.
So we'll be joining Sheet D again, Japan, Scotland. Just saw Tom Brewster make a really nice thin double to score 4 after having only scored 1 single point in 6 ends of play. And sometimes you only really need 1 good end of curling to change a game completely. Japan with a few questionable calls on that 7th end, allowing Scotland to score big. And then now it's all of a sudden it's Japan on the back foot, trailing by 2, needing to put some stones in play.
I've got to say, I don't think Scotland played an amazing end. They didn't get their stones in great spots in the middle of the end, but just a couple of moments of tactical lunacy from Morozumi and the Japanese has really punished themselves. Pretty close matchup at lead. Kosuke Morozumi just sneaking it on Hammy McMillan. Of course, Hammy, the son of 1999 world champion, also Hammy McMillan.
Easy, easy, easy. Bounce it if you want. Oh, oh, no lock, no lock. Good, Hammy.
Korea will concede this game on Sheet B as expected. Switzerland winning 12 shots to 4, picking up threes in 1 and 3, score of 4 in the 5th, and another steal of 2 and 6. A dominant performance. Sure to have pleased the home crowd. After dropping 2 games yesterday, Sven Michael back on track. Now sitting at 2 and 2. As brother of the skipper, Kosuke Marzumi. Just pulling up short, crashing on the corner guard. As Stefan Carnosian back with another Alphorn concert. And gets a nice round of applause for doing so. Listone over curling on Ross Patterson. Saying there's no handle. Not enough rotation on the stone. That tends to make the stone grab onto the ice a bit more. Do you ever throw stones with different sets of rotations, or is it more throwing the stone the same way every time?
I think generally, Sander, you can expect to have good swinging ice conditions, and you would generally practice to play on those conditions when you're representing your country and playing at the highest level. So I would say that you want to be practicing throwing plenty of rotation. So that doesn't happen, you wouldn't necessarily practice for straight ice conditions where you want to get more curl and throw less rotation as a result. Again, pretty tight at second. Japan just sneaking it there as well. Ross Patterson carrying a bit of an injury at the moment. I don't think you can see it at the moment, but he has been wearing quite a lot of blue kinesthetic tape up his arm and into his shoulder and his neck. Just try and give him a little bit of support. Just woke up one morning with a bit of a sore neck and it gradually seized up. You just see it on his left arm there. Just woke up one morning, wasn't feeling great, and stiffened and wasn't able to do a huge amount of sweeping at the World Curling Tour event in Aberdeen last weekend. So he's really just operating at 70 or 80% when he's sweeping at the moment.
Enjoyed his first international men's competition back in 2010 at the Europeans in Champéry. Playing second for the older Hammy Macmillan.
Sure, it's a slightly different experience to playing with the younger one.
Of course, the older Hammy Macmillan, quite the animated skip. We're seeing some of that with his son too, though.
Well, another misjudgment there with the sweeping. Just bounces off the freeze.
Control! Well, side by side's good.
Oh, see Tom just
Control!
playing it out with his brush. Just looking for a nose hit here, and then they would expect Japan to make the double off the wide one, and that would leave them a stone to slash into it if they didn't roll under the guard.
Watch there.
It's got online just the one at the moment.
Touch up.
Okay, I think that was bumper weight called.
Definitely a few terms are quite international. Having seen Japan pick up their first World Championship medal with the women's team. Very impressive run at Swift's Current. Just losing the final, picking up the silver medal to Switzerland. The Japanese men yet to medal at the Worlds. As we're seeing some great numbers for the thirds.
Yep.
Glenn Muirhead playing 97%. Shimizu not too shabby at 91 himself. Obviously, we had a bit of an open start. A couple of blank ends. So we might have seen a few simple shots early on. But the game certainly opened up here after halftime. Scotland lying 3.
Not that far it curls out there. Don't worry. I gave you a bit more ice. Yeah. Keep yours this side.
And Yosuke Morozumi is still trying to figure out a way how to bring that red stone in the house into play. Looks like a short run back on the red. Try to get to the inside, and bumper weight, maybe just trying to push that Yellowstone out from behind cover. So a little hit, roll and tap for Shimizu. Well, he's done that quite well. I believe that was exactly the call.
I was a little bit surprised not to see them playing at more weight and trying to kill that Yellowstone that's in the forefoot just now completely.
Well, even if
gets a good shooter in a threatening position.
As much as we can is good.
So Tom Brewster is looking to make a play on that stone in behind the guard. Will actually make the double here. Pulls the shooter out of play to sit 2. Pretty solid numbers all around.
Looking up onto the screen.
It's on sheet D today. Morozumi playing 93%, Brewster at 88.
I think this is just a quiet weight call. They could play the double takeout and try and blank this end, but they're going to try the soft weight hit and roll under the cover. Well, has he overdone it?
Yeah, might have just overcooked that one a wee bit. Rolls out a little bit to the open. How cute will Brewster play this? Is he looking to stick around or just peel it?
Yeah, I don't think there'll be any heroics here, Sander. Could try and stick around to force the one, but I think they'll be quite happy to blank this 8th end. And they have just thrown this line with their first one.
Just let it ride, it's fine.
No directional sweeping needed for that throw. So Morozumi will be left a chance to blank the end here and retain hammer. Last stone of the 8th end for Japan. Looking for a hit and run. Tsuyoshi keeping it straight. He will roll out, so it is a blank end. And scoreline still 5 shots to 3 for Scotland after 8 ends of play. Welcome back to the St. Jakobshalle. We're here for the World Men's Curling Championship 2016. And our future game this morning ended a bit early, seeing Norway beat Germany 8 shots to 2. We hand over to Sheet T to follow the conclusion of this game between Japan and Scotland. As you see the scoreline, that score of 4 really standing out in the 7th end. Japan with a few questionable calls, allowing Tom Brewster to make a thin double to score 4. And Japan now trailing, looking to put a multiple score on the board here in the 9th end. At least try to tie it up here and perhaps steal in the 10th end. Hammy McMillan Jr. throwing the first stone into the back of the button, wanting this second stone just about top 8. Just putting some stones in the house, and Japan will need to move around at some point.
Well, with the 2-shot lead with just 2 ends to go, it's just about really putting ends in the book now for Scotland as we near the end of the game. And expect to see Japan go pretty hard to try and generate a multiple score here in the 9th end. Well, a nice draw around the corner there by Kosuke Morozumi.
Good, Ross.
You know Ross Patterson quite well, having played with him at juniors. What looked like almost a perfect run back in 2005, winning was it all round robin games and just losing out in the semi-final. Sorry to bring that back up, but
Still hurts.
just wanting to know how Ross is as a player on the ice.
I think Ross has established himself as really one of the top seconds in Scotland, probably. Just over the last 5 years, he's really excelled, and I think in this team he has a really important role. He's definitely a real role model for Hammy, who, of course, is kind of new to playing at this level, at this really high level, and new to playing lead as well. But I think Ross really taught Hammy a lot about how to train, how to eat, and it has really helped him develop. Ross and Glenn both know each other really well. They've played together a lot over the last few years, including with myself. So they understand each other really well as well. But also, I talked briefly about sweeping. Ross is an extremely strong sweeper and comes out really well in the kind of the pressure components of the sweeping tests. Extremely fit guy, pushes his body really hard in the gym, and he has extremely good sweeping technique as well. So doesn't throw it quite as hard as some of the other guys out there. That's maybe his only shortcoming as a second. He certainly can't throw it as hard as Glenn can.
It's a good thing Glenn comes after Ross then.
More stones to move.
Well, that was a nice little draw there by Tsuyoshi Yamaguchi. We're not going to see that big weight from Glenn just now. It's more of a normal weight. Looking for the nose hit, and he will. And Morizumi having a long think about where to place this next stone.
I may just need to be a little bit careful here. You don't want to start laying too many half-check stones at the front of the house, staggering the stones, because it just takes one guard from Scotland, and then of course it'll just take a few. It'll take you 2 or 3 shots to get in there to lying in shot position. So I think making a play on this winger might not be a bad call. I think we're still got 3 ends to come in the end after this, so it's still about putting your stones in a position where it's difficult for Scotland to play a double takeout.
Japan will make that nose hit as we take a look at sheet C. It's Russia really giving Sweden a hard time here with a 1-point lead. Nicholas Edin looking for what I believe might be a tiny tap, perhaps to score 2. Stoney is tapping, is slightly overburied around this long guard. See if they can tap this far enough. I don't think so. Didn't have enough pace on it, and it's just going to be the 1 for Sweden. So tied game after 8 ends of play. Russia will have last stone for the 9th end. It'll be interesting to see how that game turns out.
So Scotland just content to play that takeout on the wing one more time. Well, the hit and roll called here. Needing to get over to the other side of the red stone. A little bit like that. Don't want to take it too far. That's pretty perfect there. So again, just stop Scotland from playing that double takeout.
Half two. Just stop 3/4. Heel.
Well, there's
Come on, mate. Lift them both.
the Scottish coach, Mike Harris. Not Scottish himself, of course. Wearing the thistle on his back for the first time this week. Never actually wore the maple leaf on his back during a international championship. Only represented Canada at the Olympics.
Only.
Only. As in the only time. Not to make it sound insignificant.
Scored a silver medal
Hard Ross. Hard Ross.
in Nagano.
Hard Ross. Whoa.
As Tom Brewster's trying to make. I wonder if he's trying to make.
No panic. I slid narrow and popped it. So if you go too hard on that,
Just making that red stone go away. Tomi Nagaoka, coach for Team Japan. She's been at more than a few events. What is the coach's role nowadays for a team? Is it more just managing everything around the team organizing, or is it tactical?
Yeah, I think the role of the coach has definitely developed over the last 10 years or so, and it really depends on the needs of the team that are out there. In the men's event especially, for the top teams, the tacticals, the strategy side of things probably isn't quite so important, because the reality is that the skip's probably the best tactician out there. So quite a lot of work required around the management side of things, and just making sure it's a smooth operation throughout the week, that everybody's where they need to be and when, and the players can really focus on the job in hand. But I think the main things that the teams will want to develop with the help of the coach is around team dynamics and communication to make sure that every shot's executed as well as it can be.
Alongside the team coach, you might see national coaches, physiotherapists, and well, sports psychologists as well. Travel alongside the teams for these big events, all depending on the team's funding.
Yeah, and sports analysts as well. The Scottish team have a video analyst here with them this week, and he's been involved in international competition for over 10 years now, and I can tell you that, having never played a game of curling in his life, that he can call as good a game as anyone. He's watched more curling than most people.
So Skip Murazumi making this little tap. Does he leave a double, or do the angles work out from here?
you hit 3/4. You not
That's
tell me that
certainly
3/4 would go the whole lot.
Question in mind for Tom
Even
Brewster.
if we do this, fly 2. Because I'll tell you, that's a big hit to get that out. Eh? You hit 3/4 of that, no? If it over curls, it over. What do you think? I just don't think I'm going to have enough power to get that out.
Well,
I don't think I'll hit that double out.
I think that tap on the back from Ross Patterson was maybe just a bit of a time call there. There's generally there'll be one player in the team who's responsible for just keeping an eye on the clocks, and needs to remind the skip to keep things moving.
See the other scores for the morning draw. Norway beating Germany 8-2. Switzerland picked up a win against Korea. Only 2 games still remaining. The game we're watching here with Tom Brewster, and also Sweden-Russia.
Well, I think Glenn's maybe talked Tom into playing this the way that he didn't want to play it. So it looked to me like it was easier to play it coming off the one in the centre line, which was Tom's preference. But Glenn pretty adamant to come the other way, and I think potentially Tom proved right in the end there.
Yeah, earlier in the broadcast, we were just discussing how the stones aren't maybe as lively due to some of the frost, especially in around the white parts of the sheet. So really hard to make those doubles and triples. And it is Japan now with the nose hit to score 2.
Yeah, it's been a well-worked end here by Yosuke Morizumi. Good stone positioning, some nice hit and rolls.
This one purely routine, as Japan will score 2 and tie up the game at 5 each. After having given up 4 in the 7th, they're now back in it before the 10th end of play. We'll just have a look at the time clocks for Scotland and Japan before this 10th end gets underway. Just about 3.5 minutes. 3.5 minutes for both teams to play. It should be enough. Not sure if the teams have used any timeout so far. Not that I've seen. Anyway, having watched the Germany-Norway game for the first 6 ends on the broadcast. If you're just joining us, this is the World Men's Curling Championship in Basel, Switzerland. We'll see Hammy McMillan Jr. make a excellent tech shot of Japan's center guard. It's hard to get more separation than that. Does push that red stone into the 12 foot. I don't think that's going to be a huge worry for Tom Brewster. Still leaving lots of room to score. And I believe Scotland's just looking to keep things open so they can draw the forfeit for the win, Logan.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about keeping that centre line clear. And I'm sure Tom will be more than happy to see the whole of the forfeit for his last stone.
So Hammett Macmillan not allowed to remove these stones from play, with the free guard zone very much in play.
Whoa, whoa. Tommy, hey.
But you are allowed to move them. You're allowed to tick them over,
Whoa.
split them, open up the center. He's made one really good one. And I believe he's pulled off another one. That's just perfect lead play. Really helping out his team here, making things a lot easier. As we just have a look at the time clocks again.
Yeah,
thinking time.
Well, nicely done there by Hammy McMillan. Interesting that at a recent event in Canada called the Elite 10, that they like to experiment with some new rules and trying to find new ways and they can develop the game and make it more entertaining, more interesting, and more of a spectacle. And one of the rules that they brought into play was that you couldn't play a tick shot for a stone that's touching the center line. So that would make it really difficult to defend against. Of course, that rule is not in play here at the World Championship.
Yeah, it's fun rule. The only problem I might see is you might be playing in the first end, trying to draw around the guard. You end up ticking, crashing on the guard. Now your stone's removed from play. So you're going to have to be very careful to be able to have enough room to get around guards if that rule ever came into the rule book. But it's nice to see tournaments trying out a few things. That's, some of the rules we have for the World Curling Federation rulebook has come from testing out stuff like that. Like the 4-ruck rule. That's pretty much changed the curling game for the better. If you go a couple of decades back, you didn't see as many stones to play always. You might even see some teams get last on advantage and just run through the whole game and win 1-0.
Yeah, it must be just about the 25th anniversary of the introduction of the free guard zone rule, previously the Moncton rule.
So you'll see Japan throw up the high guard, hoping that Scotland might jam the peel on one of the catchers, like we saw Tyler George did last night against Canada. That proved crucial when John Schuster failed to make the slash double for the win. Ross Patterson will not catch on any of the stones, but his shooter will punch in one of the yellows and actually get shot stone now. And we're quite excited to see what's going to happen on sheet C. Sweden, Russia tied up at 2 each. Alexei Chesilov, skipper of Russia, has impressed everyone so far, and now he's looking to play a little tap, trying to tick his yellow stone over to score. Or is it just to cut Sweden down to a steal of 1, perhaps? I believe so. Sweden takes 1, but Russia with a still very good chance of picking up a W. If they could score 2 in the 10th end, we'll make sure to keep our eye out on what's happening over there.
Yeah, just 2 games left out there. Of course, Norway defeating Germany and Switzerland defeating Korea here in draw 6. Just misses that back one. Don't think those wide reds will be too much of a concern for Scotland. Well, Japan really having to throw caution to the wind here. And I think we need to go back to the 7th end and Japan really imploded and called a really poor end of curling, and they were more than punished for it. After being very much in control, just lost that sweeping call there. Ticks the top one.
Even that's good. Normal.
Yeah, really needed to take advantage there. Could have even put that back at the 8, just to get shot stone and leave a long run for Glenn Muirhead. Now just sitting in the open. This should be a big problem for the Scottish third player. He's going to rule away. Sit 2. Leave the centre open. And where do you go if you're Japan now? Do you come around that top yellow again? Do you freeze the back? Looks like they will draw around.
I don't think they really have any option. It's not an ideal situation to steal from, that's for sure. Got to go back to those 2 tick shots. Perfectly played by Hammy McMillan.
So I'd quite like to see him bring this one as deep as he can here. If you put this top tee line, it's just a 3 foot front back for Tom Brewster. So just wanting to make that as long as possible. Tsuyoshi, Yamaguchi, really working this draw.
It's got a long way to go for pace.
I don't think it's looking too bad though. Trying to drag it as far as they can. Getting a little extra finish as well. It's a pretty good attempt, but I thought maybe Tom Brewster could see enough of the redstone to make a direct play. He has called the run back, however.
There wasn't too much discussion at all there between skip and third.
Well, if he peels the red directly, I guess Marzumi has that same draw, and that's just leaving the forfeit for Tom Brewster. If he can ever make this run back, a little bit on the high side, there's nowhere to hide for Japan, leaving him even more room to score with his last stone, Tom Brewster.
Gotta go, Ross. Whoa, Hammy! Ross on the roll!
Almost overcooked that one.
No, he stuck it and he's left a stone for Japan to freeze against. I think the initial response after release was that maybe Tom was a little bit high away and they were sweeping to make it curl. Maybe just overdid it a fraction, and I think Tom knows it.
Well, even with Ross Patterson's injury, he was able to really carve it in there. You've got to be careful with the strength of some of these sweepers out there. It's very easy to overcall the sweeping. As now Skip Marzumi having to wait for his brother Kosuke to go and grab another brush from the far end. So she's going to have to recompose and get settled for this last stone of the 10th end for Japan. 88% on 4 draws, wanting to play the freeze here, lock it on, and force Tom Brewster to at least make a shot for the win. And it's Tsuyoshi Yamaguchi again working this one really hard. Chimizu out to help. Struggling for line, perhaps for weight as well. Not sure if they're going to be able to bring it all the way down there. I think they have, and they will lie shot stone, and with a pretty good line as well. A few inches of separation. As Tom Brewster just calling a timeout, probably more for time management rather than advice from Mike Harris.
You like this?
Mike Harris will make his way down. I'm not sure if he'll ever get the chance to
You like that?
speak to the team though.
So timeout has been called. 1 minute 22 left on the clock. Mike Harris making his way down, but it's just to really give this shot the kind of due care that it deserves. It is the shot to win the game, so you could just throw the draw here, but really anything thinner than half should slide that red stone out along the tee line and leave the yellow on the other side of the house lying in shot position to win.
A very nice shot by Murazumi. Leaving a difficult task for Tom Brewster. Last stone of the 10th end for the win. Needing to catch it thin. Have they overcooked it again? Hami trying to get that one to curl. He ends up freshing it, leaving Japan a steal of 1. Japan will pick up the win here in a very dramatical finish. Tom Brewster visibly upset with his line call there. Again, Ross Patterson just too effective with that sweeping, backing up the peel, and Hami McMillan was not able to bring the stone back online.
I know, but they're all backing when they come on them.
We'll see that shot again. Hami again trying to finish it off. Surely not a lot of space in between those two stones. Very much control of the last few ends, Scotland. Not able to pull it off in the end. Now we will head over to Sheet C. The last game still in motion at Sweden and Russia. Also in the 10th end, Sweden picked up a steal in the 9th, leading by 1. They will be trying to prevent a score of 2 for Russia. It's Nicholas Sedin with his last stone. Just taking this yellow one out. I believe Sweden are sitting 2. And that's a pretty flat double. As Cheslov just humorously saying, let's just kick that stone away a little bit. Not a lot of time to discuss the shot, but I think there's not a whole lot to discuss really. It's pretty much draw or take out. And I've seen most teams opt for the take out, with the ice being slightly frosty at times. And I'm a little surprised they're waiting for Coach Søren Grand to come out and help them with this call. It seems to be a bit of an automatic choice.
Yeah. And we talked about
Well,
this one. It's,
he is the Olympic silver medal winning coach.
Hold on. Which first? One. Okay, now both control. Would you like control right now? Yeah.
I believe Søren Grand just having a slight chuckle there, having to come out and call the shot for his team, but maybe just sort of liking to have a fifth opinion. Just maybe gaining slightly more confidence, maybe getting some time to settle his nerves a little bit before what is keep in mind a big shot here to push the game into an extra against Sweden. So last stone of the 10th end, 73% on 13 hits. This one, a textbook shot, but definitely some nerves coming into play here. And how far will this roll? Will it hang around for one? Just enough. not a whole lot of room to spare, but good enough to tie up the game at 3 each. And we will have an extra and some bonus curling for you here in the St. Jakobshalle in Basel, Switzerland. Returning to the St. Jakobshalle, the third game we're seeing on this morning's broadcast. We saw Norway beat Germany 8-2, panned over to see Japan, Scotland, where Skip Murazumi and his Japanese squad picked up a steal in the 10th end to beat the Scottish team. And now we're lucky enough to have even more curling action as Sweden plays Russia in a extra end. And it's lead Kristoffer Sundgren for Sweden to make the tick shots, just like we saw Hammy McMillan do for Scotland, just like we saw Krippa, as he's called back home, do earlier in the week, made 2 tick shots. We'll expect him to be close with these. Does make the tick, doesn't quite roll the shooter very far. He's definitely playing that a little softer than Hammy. And that's what Nicholas was just touching on too, asking him to play a touch more weight on the next one. Alexei Timofeyev will throw the long center.
Yeah, with the leads being so strong at playing the tick shot these days, it makes it so difficult to steal. Well, going the other handle this time. And a bit more weight.
This time definitely splitting the shooter out of the play. Decent effort by the lead, but it's not perfectly open. So definitely some stones to play around with for Russia. Do you like to come around now, or are you throwing a high guard?
I think I would be throwing a high guard for this one. Just something directly in line with that red closest to the house. I think that's the one that they want to protect at the moment, to draw around it later on. By doing so, they can then just run the Swedish stones down a little bit. And then they maybe only get 1 or 2 opportunities to get into a winning position.
Alexander Kosirev, I believe, was trying to play the draw, just came up short. I guess you could say he was erring on the right side there. Better to keep that in play as a guard and pump it through the house. Christian Lindström, second for Team Sweden.
Oscar, lite. Go, 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 go.
Christian's a really versatile player. Seems to be coming down the team over time, but did play 4th position with Oscar Eriksson in juniors. Oscar took over, throwing last stones and skipping, and now playing 2nd, but a fantastic shooter.
Saw his brother Alexander win the Norwegian Championship this season. And I wonder if the team of Stefan Wallstad or Marcus Höjberg, if they ever make it to a championship, we might see the twin brothers face off at international level for 2 different nations. That would certainly be something, wouldn't it?
Emot, men inte in mot mitten. Jag tror jag gillar att ta den ändå.
It's
Tunn halv, klipper den rent så är det fine.
a journalist's dream to see something like that happen. It's a good story.
Japp, hårt! Hårt! Max, till nästa tjapp! Max!
So Christian Lindström leaves a stone on the center line. Don't think we'll see Artem Shmakov playing the draw with this one. Be looking to get a slightly tighter guard down there to draw around. That guard where it is at the moment, pretty ineffective.
It's a good call on Russia's behalf.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Just somewhere around there is good.
Maybe over curling.
Kör den! 3/4, 2/3.
I believe they're looking for the double here, actually. Oscar Eriksson, one of the players that can throw it the hardest.
Krille, gå! Hårt! Hårt!
Misjudged the sweeping.
Wanting to It's definitely fun watching this guy. I just wish I could understand what he was saying all the time. So the team will be handed another timeout for the extra end, and that's what Russia has elected to use now. Not only discussing the next shot, but probably the next 3. Søren Gran will come out and help them figure out how to play this out. Definitely the guy to ask to do so.
Well, there's no question that Søren knows a lot about the opposition here. He coached Oscar and Christian through juniors. Of course, when Oscar burst onto the scene at 16 years old to make the World Junior Final, Søren was the coach then. Then went on to coach Niklas Edin's team through to the 2010 Olympics.
First option is guard here on the line. Second one is draw around to the bottom. Not bottom, but I think here. And third one is a long center guard here, or long center guard here.
No, that guard doesn't help you better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say center guard, no. Of course, you give him a chance for double that.
Yes.
And we probably lose the game. either line, same line, and or come around.
I like come around.
If you want to play come around, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we got off now come around. Yeah,
Максимально близко к прям.
draw around.
Go around.
Okay. Let's go.
Даже если мы, в принципе,
Well, as I said before, Søren really knows the opposition here, and if he knows anything about the Swedish guys and their strengths, is throwing the high hard one well and accurately. So Søren's only advice really to the Russians has been to make sure the stones are in a line with the one that you're trying to draw behind ultimately. You can either go around the tight guard, the one closest to the house at the moment, or you can throw a guard on that guard to come around later, but they all need to be in the same line. Otherwise, you're giving Sweden a chance to make the double peel and roll out, and then the game's pretty much dead in the water.
Søren Gran, of course, a successful curling player himself. Won the World Juniors back in 1982, only one of 4 skips, men's skips to win the World Juniors undefeated, and actually played the World Men's Championship for Sweden the same year, just finishing off the podium in 4th place.
Well, super draw.
Comes to no surprise for me that Sweden are looking to play the run back here. I've seen this before. If you think back to especially the extra end of the European Championship final in Chambéry 2 years ago, that was very much the case of Oscar just throwing the heavy hard ones, and they in the end made the perfect run back to win the gold medal over Norway. The huge extension. So almost hard to follow for sweep. This time just a little bit inaccurate.
Yeah, that's definitely the hardest throw I've seen this week.
Yeah, it's basically just giving it a go because he knows he's going to hit the guard, and if he ever just a fraction off, the shooter will roll. So it's worth the risk to throw that hard and trying to make the run back.
Точно не в дом, я думаю. А ты что думаешь, если не столько не в линию совсем, да?
So Russia with a pretty decent shot stone here. They can guard, not leaving tons of room for Nicholas Edin to draw for the win. I believe for now they're just going to throw a guard, hope for a peel, and then they might have to discuss a little bit further what to do with their last stone. See if they keep Søren Gran's advice in mind here to keep the stones online. Well, doesn't quite curl enough. Might have left a hole for Sweden.
Well, still leaves the guard in a usable position though. You would think they will have some sort of opportunity with their last stone. Nicholas Edin choosing to take the opportunity to move that yellow stone from the 4 foot.
Gå i centern är inte värdelös så länge inte tekar en guard där. Skräp där vid korta strecket.
I get the feeling that there's still a little bit of uncertainty from the skips, even the world's best and Nicholas Edin, and that they don't really want to leave themselves a draw to win the game. I think there's still a lot of question marks over different speeds and different paths on the ice. The ice is still a little bit green, even in draw 6 of the week. So maybe just trying to get this one into a winning position to win here now. And you see the draw is down at 46%, so maybe you can understand why Nicholas isn't keen to have to draw the button for the win.
Whoa! Whoa! Krille! Krille! Hårt, Krille! Max! Hårt!
Does get a little nudge in behind the guard. Set about half buried.
Another look at this. Christian Lindstrom trying to make it curl and make that check inside, and leaves it in a really nice spot. Doesn't get fully in behind the guard and leaves it in a usable position if Russia were ever to hook one right around everything. So I don't think there's too much option here for Russia. Just try and tap that red stone through, lie to, and we'll see what that leaves Niklas Edin for his final stone.
Но я так понял, что здесь, конечно, уже какой-то лед.
Känns som att ta det. Du kan gå.
Are you looking to play the nose hit here, or would you ever actually roll this all further wide, not to leave the Niklas the same shot, maybe actually forcing him to play the draw?
No, I think he wants to keep this stone as close to the button as possible, even if he gets a big curl around the guard. If he could even check towards the center line, that would be beneficial, but definitely we don't want to roll away.
Working this one really hard for line. Needs to get past the guard. And just enough, and will make the nose hit. A very good shot. As we can see, that will force Sweden to play the draw. Well, this guy has been on fire. Has made some critical shots this week, from what I can tell. Certainly not a pushover team.
Och gör en skarpa så han kan gå upp från hogg och hjälpa till. Men då måste vi snacka så att han är beredd på det. Nej.
So it does leave that draw.
Det är typ ingen bromslock. Så man måste vara tidig i så fall ifall det skulle vara så liksom. Men jag tror nog farten där och det glider på skapligt va?
Well, you wouldn't have thought there'd be too many nerves here for Niklas Edin.
Jag håller den kvar där också.
3 wins and no losses.
Still att den inte kallar in den inre bara.
It's just that uncertainty about the ice, and that's the only thing they're discussing is the ice quicker, is it slower, will it break? Are there certain spots in the ice it's going to do anything with this draw?
En del, men det var ett tag sedan. Yes.
Just running through a lot of the previous shots.
Behöver bite 4, mycket tid av det.
So it's not an automatic draw as you might see at other events where you might just have the draw weight in his back pocket. We saw the percentages for his draws. So statistically, this is not a gimme shot for him today, this morning. But it is the last stone of the 11th end, the extra end. Sweden needs just a piece of the forfeit for the win against the surprise team Russia.
Bra, håll igång va? Ja, det känns bra, känns bra. Curla lite igen nu. Gärna ta den, hårt, linje. Här har ni
Not touching it so far. Christian Lindstrom just giving it a gentle brush. This looks very much in control. Will find the forfeit. It is a win for Sweden. Russia put up a good fight, but in the end, the Swedes will prevail. And they'll stay perfect here this week in Basel, looking to defend their world title from last year.
Yeah, a super draw. Well calculated by the whole team to get that one down onto the button. And Russia proving no pushover this week. They'll go to 2 wins and 2 losses. And Sweden will remain undefeated. So our featured game here in draw 6, Germany against Norway. Germany picked up the 1 in the first end. And here's Thomas Ulsrud with his final stone of the second end, just paint for 2, no problems. And after 2 ends, it's Norway 2, Germany 1. On to the third end. Again, Norway completely controlling the end and just forcing Alex Baumann to make a quiet weight takeout on this stone at the back of the forefoot. Just sticks around in the 8-foot, ties the game up. Fourth end. Big miss by Alex Baumann on that in-turn around the outside of the corner guard. Leaves a wide open draw for Thomas Hulsrud to put another 2 on the board for Norway. 4 ends played. Norway 4, Germany 2. Fifth end, a very blank end, nothing really in play. Alex Baumann going for the blank. Trying with the directional swooping to make it curl. But that can't even save him. A big steal of 1 and the fifth end blows it wide open. And it would be Norway 5, Germany 2. And then here in the sixth end, some questionable tactical decisions leading to this. A nigh impossible draw for Alex Baumann. Trying to find the pin around a whole clutter of yellow stones. Just can't find the weight. Got the line, but not the weight. Put another 3 on the board for Norway. And that would be handshakes. Final score, Norway 8, Germany 2.
Just taking a look at the other scores we had this morning. Switzerland with a dominant win over Korea. And as we saw, Sweden just wrapping up in the extra end, beat Russia 4-3. Japan stole a victory against Scotland. Also in the 10th end, as we see the standings, Sweden perfect at 4-0. Canada only having played 3 games but winning all of them. Japan, Norway and Denmark with 1 loss. Russia moves to 2-2 with that defeat against Sweden. Scotland and Switzerland also 2-2. USA at 1 win. Finland, Germany and Korea winless so far here in Basel. Another win against Germany. Was it Norway making all the shots or Germany missing a few?
I think it was Norway handling the ice better. It was a bit frosty out there and some tricky spots, but we managed them better than Germany. So got some good breaks and early in the game, and from there on we could play all the easy shots, and he had to try and make the difficult shots in that ice conditions. That was pretty tough.
We saw Sweden win the World Championship last year. Is that extra incentive to grab that tail away from them and back to Norway?
Yeah, this is actually quite similar ice to we had in Beijing, and I have good memories from Beijing. So in my head I'm in Beijing right now, so this is good.
We saw you drop your first Norwegian championship in almost a decade. Is things happening in Norway? Are we getting more competition back home?
Yeah, definitely. We have a couple of young teams coming up, and that's good. They're pushing us, and I think we won it like 8 or 9 times in a row now. It's about time somebody beat us. So we need to step up and practice more, and it's good for them. They see it's easy to beat the world champions. So it's good. Good for Norwegian curling.
And lastly, I see you're carrying the broom bag. Does that mean you lost a traditional card game?
Yeah, we have a card game, and they all team up against me. So they think it's fun when I drag the broom bag. So yeah, that's correct.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thanks.
And that's it for this morning's draw here in Basel, Switzerland. We'll have more curling action later on, as will future Scotland and Canada, the big classic battle at 2 o'clock local time. That's it for myself, Sander Ulvåg, and my co-commentator Logan Gray. See you again soon.